Wings, A Tale of Two Chickens by James Marshall. Harriet and Winnie were as different as two chickens could possibly be. Harriet was enormously fond of reading. "Frankly, I'd rather swat flies," said Winnie. Many interesting hobbies kept Harriet busy all day. "I'm so bored I could just die," said Winnie. One afternoon, Winnie was wandering in the garden. "Nothing really wild ever happens around here," she said. "Good afternoon," said a silky voice, but there was no one there. "Look up," said the voice again. My," said Winnie. "Care to go for a spin?" said the stranger. "Oh, I couldn't," said Winnie. "Oh, come on," said the stranger. "Live a little." "Why not?" said Winnie, and she climbed up the ladder and into the basket. "Blast off," said the stranger. "Oh, stop, stop," cried Harriet, but it was too late. "I'll be back for dinner," shouted Winnie, and they were gone. She never did have a lick of sense," said the neighbors. "Didn't she know it was a fox?" Well, she never reads," said Harriet. The stranger introduced himself as Mr. Johnson. "Have a raspberry tart," he said. "Oh, I don't want to get too plump," said Winnie. "Plump is nice," said Mr. Johnson. Harriet went to the cops. We'll do our best," said the officer, "but foxes are clever." "Oh, we'll see about that," said Harriet. Mr. Johnson made an unscheduled stop. "I'll be right back," he said, rushing into a grocery store. "Quick," he told the grocer, "I need a package of instant dumplings." And it said, "Mansfield Hollow General Store." This says, "Wanted again, rat face." Winnie decided to make herself more comfortable. "I'll just get rid of these useless sandbags," she said. Mr. Johnson came out just in time to see the balloon heading south. But Winnie was soon bored, and she left the balloon at the nearest water tower. "I'll ask folks around here how to get home," she said. And this is Possum Flats, population 26. It appears somebody died, because they used to have 27. Meanwhile, Mr. Johnson hadn't given up hope of a chicken dinner. A chicken costume?" said the clerk in the costume store. "You heard me," said Mr. Johnson. "This is called Dress Up at JoJo's and Cut Loose. Wild duds for cheap." Soon, wearing his clever new disguise, he went to a place where chickens were known to cross the road. He said, "They'll think I'm one of them." "Yoo-hoo!" said a voice. Mr. Johnson couldn't believe his luck. Is this where chickens cross over?" said Winnie. "Indeed it is," said Mr. Johnson. "Travel makes me so hungry," said Winnie. "Care for some sardines?" said Mr. Johnson, opening his big burlap bag. "Ooh," said Winnie, "I love sardines." "In you go," said Mr. Johnson. "Well, at first you don't succeed," said Mr. Johnson, but he soon found the bag was quite heavy. Just then, he heard the sound of bicycle tires on dry leaves. May I be of some assistance?" said a plump gray fox. "Oh, I'd be ever so grateful," said Mr. Johnson. They loaded the bag onto the bicycle and rode away. "What is, in the bag?" asked the plump gray fox. "My laundry," said Mr. Johnson. At 3 corners, it began to rain. Nothing worse than plucking soggy feathers, thought Mr. Johnson. "Shall we take shelter at this church?" he suggested. Inside, the preacher was talking about charity. "It is our duty to help the needy," he said. "Humph," muttered Mr. Johnson. "And what have we here?" said the preacher. Two kind souls have brought a bag of food to share with the poor." No, cried Mr. Johnson. "Be generous," cried the preacher. But the bag ripped open. "I didn't see any sardines," said Winnie. "What is this?" cried the preacher. Chicken stealing is wicked." Mr. Johnson tore out of the church. The plump gray fox took Winnie by the wing, and they slipped out the back door. "Are we playing a game?" said Winnie. "Oh, just run," said the fox. Soon they found themselves at the edge of a steep cliff. "Oh, phooey," said the plump gray fox. "We'll have to run back." "Oh, looky," said Winnie. "Here comes that nice Mr. Johnson." And Mr. Johnson was almost upon them. "Unhand that chicken," he cried. "She is mine." At that moment, Mr. Johnson's balloon floated by. The plump gray fox threw Winnie into the basket, jumped in after, and they were gone. Mr. Johnson was fit to be tied. "You have caused me a lot of trouble," said the plump gray fox. "Now, help me out of this embarrassing costume." Winnie was so surprised she nearly fell out of the balloon. "Harriet, it's you!" Then, that evening, Harriet, putting Winnie to bed, was with a good book. "Oh, my stars," said Winnie. "Mr. Johnson was a fox." And she nearly died of fright. "Oh, maybe there's hope for her yet," said Harriet. All right. Good night. I love you.